when escape means war. The rain hit like glass shards, but Lena Carter barely felt it. Behind her, the golden glow of the Holloway estate pulsed with champagne laughter. The same people who just watched her husband humiliate her in front of Chicago's elite. 8 years. 8 years of swallowing his cruelty with a smile. Tonight, something inside her finally shattered. She had no plan, no money that wasn't his, no place to go that he couldn't find. But she walked anyway. If you want to see how far a woman can go when she has nothing left to lose, stay until the end. Hit like and drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. The sound of her heels on wet pavement was the only thing that felt real. Everything else, the party, the people, the carefully constructed lie of her marriage, felt like it belonged to someone else. Someone who died tonight, maybe. Or finally woke up. Lena's hands shook as she pulled her coat tighter. The emerald silk dress beneath it cost more than most people made in a month, but it might as well have been a prison uniform. Grant had picked it out. Grant always picked everything out. "You look perfect, darling. Don't embarrass me tonight." She'd nodded, smiled, applied the lipstick he preferred, and then, 3 hours later, he'd made sure everyone at that party knew exactly how worthless she was. The memory hit her in flashes, his hand on Rebecca Ashford's lower back, the way he'd laughed, that easy, confident laugh, when someone asked if he was worried about leaving his wife alone so much. "Lena," he'd said, voice dripping with performative affection, "she's got plenty to keep her busy. Garden club, charity luncheons, you know how it is." Rebecca had smiled, a knowing smile, the kind that said she knew exactly what Grant did when Lena wasn't around. And then Grant had turned to Lena, still smiling, and added, "Besides, it's not like she'd know what to do with herself if I wasn't managing things. Would you, sweetheart?" The room had gone quiet, not uncomfortable, just attentive, waiting to see if she'd play along. She'd opened her mouth, closed it, felt something crack behind her ribs, and then she'd walked out. No explanation, no goodbye, just out. Now, 20 minutes later, Lena stood on a street corner with no idea where she was going. Her phone buzzed in her clutch, Grant's name lighting up the screen. She declined the call. It buzzed again immediately. She turned the phone off. The rain was getting heavier. Her hair, which she'd spent an hour styling, hung in wet ropes around her face. Mascara probably running. Dress ruined. She looked down at herself and almost laughed. Perfect Lena Carter. What a joke. A cab passed, splashing water onto the curb. She didn't even try to flag it down. Where would she tell them to go? Back to the penthouse she shared with Grant. To her mother's house, where she'd be told to apologize and make it work. To a hotel, paid for with a credit card Grant monitored. There was nowhere. No exit that he hadn't already locked. Except, her eyes caught on a light half a block down. Warm. Yellow. A small cafe wedged between a law office and a shuttered boutique. The sign read, "The Perch," in faded letters. She walked toward it without deciding to. The bell above the door chimed when she pushed inside. The smell hit her first, coffee, something baking, old wood. It was nearly midnight, but a few people were scattered at tables. A student with headphones, an older man reading a newspaper, a woman typing furiously on a laptop. Behind the counter, a barista with purple hair glanced up and did a double take. "Jesus, you okay?" Lena realized she must look insane. Soaked, shaking, probably crying without knowing it. Her voice cracked. "Can I just sit for a while?" The barista's expression softened. "Yeah, of course. You want something? Coffee? Tea?" "Tea, please." "On the house." The barista waved off Lena's attempt to pull out her wallet. "Go sit. I'll bring it over." Lena chose a corner booth as far from the window as possible. She peeled off her coat and tried to wring some of the water from her hair. Her hands were still shaking. The tea arrived a few minutes later, chamomile, with a small plate of shortbread cookies. "Rough night?" the barista asked gently. Lena nodded, not trusting her voice. "Well, you're safe here. Take your time." Safe. The word landed like a brick. When was the last time she'd felt safe? She wrapped her hands around the mug and stared into the steam. Her phone was off, but she could feel it in her bag, like a live grenade. Grant would be furious. He'd call her friends. His friends. He'd spin it. Make her look unstable. emotional, difficult. He was probably already doing it. The door chimed again. Lena didn't look up until a shadow fell across her table. This seat taken? She glanced up, startled. The man standing there was tall, dark-haired, somewhere in his mid-30s. He wore a simple black jacket, jeans, boots. His face was calm, unreadable. Not handsome in the way Grant was handsome. No polish, no performance. Just present. No, but you don't have to talk, he said, already sliding into the opposite bench. I just thought you might want someone sitting here. In case. In case what? In case someone comes looking for you. Her stomach dropped. How did you... I saw you outside. You looked lost and scared. He nodded toward the window. Black Mercedes pulled up about 2 minutes ago. Guy in a suit got out, looked around. I'm guessing he's not a friend. Lena's blood went cold. She turned toward the window, but the booth was angled so she couldn't see the street. Don't look, the man said quietly. He's gone. Drove off. But he'll circle back. How do you know? Because I've seen this before. Lena stared at him. Who are you? Adrian Vale. He extended a hand across the table. After a moment, she shook it. His grip was warm, solid. And you're in trouble. It wasn't a question. Lena pulled her hand back. I don't know you. No, but I know what it looks like when someone's running. Adrian leaned back, arms crossed. Not aggressive, just watching. You don't have to tell me anything. But if you need help, I can give it. Why? Why not? That's not an answer. Adrian's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Fair. Let's say I don't like seeing people get hurt, and you look like you've been hurt for a long time. Lena's throat tightened. She wanted to tell him he was wrong, that her life was fine, that she was fine, but the lie wouldn't come. I need to go, she said instead, starting to stand. Where? She froze. That's what I thought, Adrian said, not unkindly. Look, I'm not trying to scare you, but whoever sent that guy, he knows you're in this area, and if you walk out of here alone, he'll find you. I can take care of myself. I don't doubt it, but sometimes taking care of yourself means accepting help. He pulled a business card from his jacket pocket and slid it across the table. Plain white. Just a name and a phone number. If you change your mind, Lena picked up the card. What do you do? Security, consulting, problem solving. Adrian stood. Mostly, I help people who need a way out. Out of what? Whatever's keeping them trapped. He said it so simply, like it was obvious. Lena looked down at the card, then back up at him. I don't have any money. Not money that's mine. I didn't ask for money. Then what do you want? Adrian paused at that, studied her for a long moment. I want you to be safe, he said finally. That's it. And then he walked out, the bell chiming softly behind him. Lena sat there for a long time, staring at the card in her hand. She stayed in the cafe until they closed at 1 a.m. The barista, whose name, she learned, was Sienna, offered to call her a cab. Lena almost said yes, but then she thought about where the cab would take her, and the answer was always the same. Back to Grant. Actually, Lena said slowly, can I use your phone? Sienna handed it over without question. Lena dialed the number on Adrian's card. It rang 3 times before he picked up. Vale. It's Lena, from the cafe. A pause, then, You okay? No. Her voice cracked. No, I'm really not. Where are you? Still at the perch. They're closing. Stay there. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Wait. But he'd already hung up. Lena handed the phone back to Sienna, who raised an eyebrow. Friend? I don't know yet. Well, he better be a good one. You look like you need it. Lena almost laughed. Almost. True to his word, Adrian pulled up exactly 10 minutes later in a dark gray SUV. Lena saw him through the window and felt something twist in her chest, fear and relief tangled together. That's my ride, she told Sienna. You sure about this? Was she? No. But what choice did she have? Yeah, Lena said. I'm sure. She stepped outside. The rain had stopped, but the air was still damp and cold. Adrian got out of the car and opened the passenger door for her. Thank you, Lena said quietly as she slid inside. He didn't answer, just closed the door, walked around, and got in the driver's seat. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Lena watched the city slide past the window, familiar streets that suddenly felt foreign. Where are we going? She asked finally. Somewhere safe. A place I use for clients sometimes. It's quiet, off the grid. I'm a client now? If you want to be. Lena turned to look at him. His profile was sharp in the dashboard light, focused. Why are you doing this? Adrian was quiet for a moment. Then, about 6 years ago, I had a case. Woman named Michelle. Husband was a hedge fund manager. Controlled everything. Her money, her friends, where she went. When she tried to leave, he hired people to bring her back. Told everyone she was mentally unstable, dangerous. What happened? She didn't make it out. The words hung in the air like smoke. I was too late, Adrian continued, voice flat. By the time I got involved, he'd already isolated her completely. No one believed her. No one helped. He glanced at Lena. I'm not going to be too late again. Lena's chest tightened. I'm not Michelle. No, but you're in the same trap, and I'm not letting you disappear into it. She didn't know what to say to that. They drove for another 20 minutes, leaving the downtown core behind. The buildings grew shorter, the streets quieter. Finally, Adrian pulled into the parking lot of a nondescript apartment complex. Modern, clean, anonymous. This is it, he said, cutting the engine. Lena stared up at the building. You live here? No, but I own a unit for situations like this. Situations like this? People who need to disappear for a while. He said it so matter-of-factly, like this was normal. Maybe, for him, it was. Adrian grabbed a duffel bag from the back seat and led her inside. The lobby was empty except for a bored-looking security guard who nodded at Adrian without comment. They took the elevator to the 8th floor. The apartment was small but clean. Hardwood floors, minimal furniture, a couch, a table, a kitchenette. One bedroom visible through an open door. It's not much, Adrian said, setting the duffel bag on the counter, but it's secure. The locks are reinforced. Security cameras in the lobby. No one knows about this place except me. Lena walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. He'll find me. Not here. You don't know him. Then tell me about him. She turned. Adrian was leaning against the counter, arms crossed, watching her with that same calm intensity. Lena swallowed. His name is Grant Holloway. He's powerful, rich, connected. He has lawyers, investigators, people who owe him favors. What does he do? Private equity, mergers, acquisitions. He buys companies, breaks them apart, sells the pieces. She laughed bitterly. He's very good at it. And he treats you the same way. It wasn't a question. Lena's throat closed up. She nodded. Adrian straightened. Okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay here tonight. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, we'll figure out next steps. But right now, you're safe. That's all that matters. I can't pay you. I told you, I don't want your money. Then what do you want? Adrian met her eyes. I want you to trust me. Just for tonight. Can you do that? Lena thought about Grant, about the penthouse, about 8 years of suffocating control, about Rebecca Ashford's smile, about the rain and the cafe and the feeling of walking out the door. Yeah, she whispered. I think I can. Lena didn't sleep. She lay on the unfamiliar bed in the unfamiliar room, staring at the ceiling, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the building settling around her. Every creak made her flinch. Every car passing on the street below made her heart race. He was looking for her. She knew he was. Grant didn't lose things. And she was his. Around 3 a.m., she gave up on sleep and wandered into the main room. Adrian was sitting on the couch, laptop open, scrolling through something. Can't sleep? He asked without looking up. No? That's normal. He closed the laptop. First night's always the hardest. Lena sat down in the chair across from him. Do you do this a lot? Help people like me? Define people like you. People running from their lives. Adrian considered that. Sometimes, when it's necessary. And the rest of the time? Corporate security, consulting, boring stuff. He smiled faintly. This is more interesting. I'm not interesting. I'm a mess. You walked out of a party in the rain with no plan and nowhere to go. That takes guts. Or stupidity. Maybe both. Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. But you're here. That's what matters. Lena looked down at her hands. She was still wearing her wedding ring. The diamond caught the light. Flawless, expensive, cold. She twisted it off and set it on the table between them. Adrian glanced at it but didn't comment. I met him at a fundraiser, Lena said quietly. I was 23, fresh out of college, working at an art gallery. He was charming, confident. He made me feel like I was the only person in the room. And then he married me. And slowly, piece by piece, he took everything away. My job, my friends, my money, my choices. She laughed, hollow. I thought I was lucky. I thought I'd found someone who wanted to take care of me. I didn't realize I was signing up to disappear. You didn't disappear, Adrian said quietly. You're still here. Barely. Barely's enough. Lena looked up at him. Why do you care? Adrian was quiet for a long moment, then, because no one cared about Michelle. And I've spent 6 years wishing I could go back and change that. I can't, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm not your second chance. No. You're your own second chance. I'm just making sure you get it. Something in his voice made her believe him. He's going to come after me, Lena said. You know that, right? He won't just let me go. I know. And you still want to help? Adrian's expression didn't change. Yeah, I do. Lena didn't understand it, didn't understand him. But for the first time in 8 years, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone. Okay, she said. What do we do? First, we keep you off his radar. No phone, no credit cards, no contact with anyone who might tell him where you are. I don't have anyone like that. He made sure of it. Good. That makes it easier. Adrian stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city. Second, we document everything, every instance of control, manipulation, abuse. Build a case. For what? For the divorce, and for making sure he can't touch you after. Lena's stomach twisted. He'll destroy me in court. He has the best lawyers in Chicago. So we'll get better ones. With what money? Adrian turned back to her. Let me worry about that. Why? The word came out sharper than she intended. Why would you do all this for someone you don't even know? Adrian didn't answer right away. He just looked at her, really looked at her, like he was seeing something she couldn't. Because you deserve a way out, he said finally, and because I can give you one. It was the simplest answer in the world, and somehow it was enough. Eat. The next morning, Lena woke to sunlight streaming through the blinds and the smell of coffee. She sat up, disoriented. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then it all came back. The party, the rain, the cafe. Adrian. She was still wearing the green dress. It was wrinkled and stained now, ruined beyond repair. Good. She got up and found Adrian in the kitchen, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. Morning, he said. Sleep at all? A little. Better than nothing. He handed her a mug. There's clothes in the duffel bag if you want to change. Basics. Probably not your style, but clean. Lena took the coffee gratefully. Thank you. We've got a lot to do today, Adrian said. First priority is getting you a burner phone. Something he can't trace. Then we need to talk to a lawyer. I know, no money. I've got a contact who'll do the initial consult pro bono. She's good. She's handled cases like this before. Lena wrapped her hands around the mug, letting the warmth seep into her skin. What if this doesn't work? What if he finds me? Then we deal with it. Just like that? Just like that. She wanted to believe him, wanted to believe this could actually work, but she'd spent 8 years learning that nothing ever worked out the way she hoped. Lena. Adrian's voice was firm. Look at me. She did. I'm not going to let him hurt you. Do you understand? Whatever it takes. There was something in his eyes, something hard and unyielding. Not a promise, a fact. And for the first time since she'd walked out of that party, Lena felt something shift inside her chest. Not hope, Not yet, but the possibility of it. Okay, she said. Let's do this. The lawyer's name was Sarah Chen, and she worked out of a cramped office above a Vietnamese restaurant in Chinatown. She was younger than Lena expected, mid-30s, sharp-eyed, dressed in a no-nonsense blazer and jeans. Adrian called me last night, Sarah said, gesturing for them to sit. Gave me the basics. Grant Holloway. 8 years, financial control, emotional abuse, public humiliation. Lena winced. Hearing it laid out like that made it sound so simple, so obvious. How had she let it go on for so long? I've handled cases like this before, Sarah continued. High net worth divorces where one party has all the power. It's ugly, but it's winnable. He'll fight, Lena said. He'll make me look crazy, unstable, gold digging. Sarah smiled grimly. Yeah, they always do. That's why we build an airtight case. Documentation, witnesses, financial records, everything. I don't have any of that. Yet. But we'll get it. Sarah leaned forward. Here's the thing, Lena. Men like Grant Holloway think they're untouchable. They think their money and connections make them invincible. And most of the time, they're right. But every now and then, they get cocky. They leave a trail. And when they do, we burn them with it. Lena felt something stir in her chest. Not quite hope, but close. What do you need from me? She asked. Everything. Every email, text, bank statement, credit card charge. Every time he controlled where you went, who you saw, what you wore. Every time he made you feel small. I need all of it. That's a lot. I know, but it's how we win. Lena glanced at Adrian, who nodded. Okay, she said. I'll do it. Sarah smiled. Good. We'll start with an emergency protective order. It won't stop him completely, but it'll put him on notice. And it'll give us legal grounds if he tries anything. Will it work? Depends on the judge, but it's worth a shot. Lena felt her stomach twist. This was real. This was actually happening. There was no going back now. They left Sarah's office an hour later with a stack of forms and a plan. Adrian drove them back to the apartment in silence. Lena stared out the window, watching the city slide past. You okay? Adrian asked finally. I don't know. She turned to look at him. What if I can't do this? What if I'm not strong enough? You walked out of your own life with nothing but a wet dress and a prayer, Adrian said. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. You don't have to. You just have to keep moving. Lena wanted to believe him, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw Grant's face, heard his voice. You're nothing without me. Maybe he was right. They pulled into the parking lot and Adrian cut the engine, but before Lena could open the door, he spoke again. Lena. She turned. I need you to understand something, Adrian said. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Grant's going to push back, hard. And when he does, you're going to want to quit. You're going to think it's easier to just go back, to make it stop. Lena's throat tightened. But if you do that, Adrian continued, voice quiet but firm, he wins. And you disappear. For good. I know. Do you? Adrian's eyes were intense. Because I've seen people fold at the last second. Good people, strong people. They get tired, scared, and they go back. And it destroys them. Lena looked down at her hands. I won't go back. Promise me. She met his gaze. I promise. Adrian held her eyes for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, let's go inside. That night, Lena's phone, still turned off, still buried in her purse, started buzzing. She pulled it out and stared at the screen. 43 missed calls, 17 voicemails, 29 texts, all from Grant. Her hands shook as she scrolled through the messages. Where are you? Lena, this is ridiculous. Come home. You're embarrassing yourself. People are asking questions. You need to come back now. If you don't answer me, I'm calling the police. I'm worried about you. Please just let me know you're safe. You're being selfish. Fine. Do what you want. But don't come crying to me when you realize you have nothing. And then the last one, sent 20 minutes ago. I know you're with someone. I know where you are. This isn't over. Lena's stomach dropped. Adrian. He looked up from his laptop. What? She handed him the phone. Adrian read through the messages, his expression darkening. He's bluffing. How do you know? Because if he knew where you were, he'd already be here. Adrian set the phone down. He's trying to scare you into coming back. It's working. Don't let it. Adrian stood and walked to the window, checking the street below. We knew this was coming. He's going to escalate, threaten, try to make you doubt yourself. But as long as you stay here, you're safe. What if he finds this place? He won't. But what if he does? Adrian turned to face her. Then I deal with it. How? However I have to. There was something in his voice, something cold and final, that made Lena believe him. And for the first time, she wondered exactly who Adrian Vale was and what he was willing to do. So, 3 days passed. 3 days of hiding. Waiting. Watching the door like Grant might kick it down at any second. Sarah filed the protective order. The court scheduled a hearing for the following week. In the meantime, Lena tried to piece together her life. She made lists, every instance of control, every cruel comment, every time Grant had made her feel like she was losing her mind. It was harder than she thought, not because she couldn't remember, but because she'd spent so long convincing herself it wasn't that bad. He never hit me, she'd told herself. He just managed things. He never screamed. He just corrected her. He never locked her in. She was free to leave any time, except she wasn't, and she hadn't been for 8 years. On the 4th morning, Adrian's phone rang while they were having coffee. He glanced at the screen, frowned, and answered. Yeah? Lena watched his expression shift, tighten, harden. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. Okay, I'll handle it. He hung up. What's wrong? Lena asked. Adrian set the phone down carefully. Grant hired a private investigator. Lena's heart stopped. How do you know? I have people watching him. He met with a PI firm yesterday. High-end. Expensive. The kind that finds people who don't want to be found. So he's looking for me. Yeah. Lena stood, panic rising in her chest. We have to move. We have to... Lena, breathe. He's going to find me. He's going to... Lena. Adrian's hands were on her shoulders, firm but not rough. Look at me. She did. He's not going to find you. Do you hear me? I've dealt with PIs before. They're good, but they're not that good. And this place is locked down. He'd have to go through me first. And if he does? Adrian's jaw tightened. Then he'll regret it. Lena wanted to believe him, wanted to feel safe. But she knew Grant, knew how relentless he could be. What do we do? She whispered. We stick to the plan, Adrian said. We keep you safe. We build the case. And we make sure he can't touch you. And if that doesn't work, Adrian's eyes were cold, then we make sure he can't touch anyone. Lena didn't ask what that meant. She wasn't sure she wanted to know. The hearing for the protective order was scheduled for Tuesday morning. Sarah prepped Lena the night before, walking her through what to expect. The questions, the scrutiny, the way Grant's lawyers would try to tear her apart. They're going to paint you as vindictive, Sarah warned, a woman scorned, gold-digging, mentally unstable, whatever sticks. How do I fight that? By telling the truth, calmly, clearly. Don't get emotional, don't get defensive, just state the facts. Easier said than done. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, running through everything she needed to say. He controlled my money, my schedule, my friends. He humiliated me in public, made me feel worthless, made me believe I had no other options. It was all true. But would anyone believe her? Around 2 a.m., she got up and found Adrian in the living room, scrolling through his phone. Can't sleep? He asked. No. Nervous about tomorrow? Terrified. Adrian set his phone down. You're going to do fine. How do you know? Because you're still here. You didn't go back. That takes more strength than you realize. Lena sat down across from him. What if the judge doesn't believe me? Then we appeal. We keep fighting. For how long? As long as it takes. Lena looked at him, really looked at him, at the calm certainty in his eyes, the way he seemed completely unbothered by the enormity of what they were up against. Why are you doing this? She asked quietly. Really? Adrian was silent for a long moment, then, because someone should have done it for Michelle, and they didn't, and I'm not making that mistake again. I'm not her. No, but you could be. If I walk away. Lena's throat tightened. I don't know how to thank you. Then don't. Just survive this. That's all I need. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and in that moment she realized something. She wasn't just fighting for her freedom anymore. She was fighting because Adrian believed she could win. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The courtroom was smaller than Lena expected, cold, sterile, the kind of place where lives were decided on paperwork and precedent. Grant was already there when they arrived, sitting with his lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman in an expensive suit who looked like she could gut someone with a smile. Grant didn't look at Lena when she walked in, didn't acknowledge her at all. But she felt his presence like a weight on her chest. Sarah squeezed her arm. You've got this. Lena nodded, even though she didn't believe it. The judge, a tired-looking man in his 50s, called the hearing to order. Grant's lawyer went first. Your Honor, this entire petition is a fabrication. Mrs. Holloway left a social event without explanation, turned off her phone, and has been hiding from her husband for nearly a week. Mr. Holloway is deeply concerned for her well-being and has been trying to locate her to ensure she's safe. This protective order is nothing more than a vindictive attempt to punish him for imagined slights. Lena's hands clenched in her lap. Sarah stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Holloway left because she was subjected to public humiliation and years of coercive control. She has documented evidence of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, and isolation. She is not hiding out of vindictiveness. She is hiding because she is afraid. The judge looked at Lena. Mrs. Holloway, is that accurate? Lena stood. Her legs felt like water. Yes, Your Honor. Can you elaborate? She took a breath. My husband controls every aspect of my life, my bank accounts, my phone, where I go, who I see, what I wear. He humiliates me in front of his friends and colleagues. He makes me feel like I'm nothing without him. And when I finally tried to leave, he sent people to find me. Grant's lawyer scoffed. Your Honor, this is absurd. Mr. Holloway is a respected businessman. He has never threatened his wife, never harmed her. He doesn't have to hit me to hurt me, Lena said, voice shaking. He's been hurting me for 8 years. The courtroom went quiet. The judge studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at Grant. Mr. Holloway, do you have anything to say? Grant stood, smooth, calm, every inch the successful executive. Your Honor, I love my wife. I've only ever wanted to take care of her. If she's felt controlled, that was never my intention. I've provided her with everything she could possibly need. And yes, I've been trying to find her, because I'm worried. She's not thinking clearly. She needs help. Lena's stomach twisted. There it was. The narrative Grant had been building. The one that made her look unstable, irrational. The one that made him look like the hero. The judge sighed. I'm going to grant a temporary protective order. Mr. Holloway, you are to have no contact with your wife until the next hearing, scheduled for 2 weeks from today. At that time, we'll revisit this matter with more evidence. Lena felt something crack open in her chest. She'd won. Not completely. Not yet. But she'd won. Grant's expression didn't change, but Lena saw the flash of anger in his eyes. And she knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The temporary protective order should have brought relief. Instead, it brought something worse. Waiting. Lena spent the first day after the hearing barely breathing, waiting for Grant to violate it. Waiting for him to show up at the apartment, to send someone, to find a loophole. Sarah had warned her that a piece of paper wouldn't stop a man like Grant if he really wanted to reach her. It just meant there would be consequences if he did. If he got caught, Adrian doubled the security anyway. New cameras in the hallway, a second deadbolt on the door. He gave Lena a panic button, a small device that fit in her pocket and would alert him instantly if she pressed it. You really think he'll try something? She asked, turning the button over in her hand. I think he's used to getting what he wants, Adrian said. And right now he doesn't have it. That makes him dangerous. More dangerous than he already was. Adrian's expression darkened. Yeah, that night Lena couldn't stop checking the locks, the windows, the street below. Every car that passed made her pulse spike. Every footstep in the hallway made her freeze. She hated it, hated feeling like prey. Around midnight, she gave up on sleep and found Adrian at the kitchen table, laptop open, scrolling through what looked like surveillance footage. "What are you watching?" she asked. "Grant's building. I've got a contact who installed cameras near the entrance." Lena's stomach twisted. "That's legal?" "Technically? No, but I'm not planning to use it in court." Adrian paused the footage, zooming in on a frame. "I just need to know what he's doing, who he's meeting." On the screen, Grant walked out of the building with another man, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark suit. They stood on the sidewalk for a moment, talking. Grant handed the man something, an envelope maybe. "Who's that?" Lena asked. "Don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." Adrian switched to another camera angle. "He's been meeting with people all week, lawyers, investigators, and now this guy." "You think Grant's planning something?" "I know he is." Adrian closed the laptop and looked at her. "Men like Grant don't just accept losing. They retaliate." Lena wrapped her arms around herself. "So what do we do?" "We stay ahead of him, keep documenting everything, build the case so airtight he can't wiggle out of it. And if that's not enough?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "Then we make sure he knows what happens when he crosses the line." There was something in his voice that made Lena's skin prickle. Not fear, exactly, but awareness. Adrian wasn't just some security consultant helping her out of kindness. There was something harder beneath the surface, something that knew how to fight dirty. She wondered, not for the first time, what his story really was. "Adrian," she said carefully, "what did you do before this? Before the security consulting?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Military, special operations, the kind of work you don't talk about at parties." "How long?" 10 years. Got out 6 years ago." "Why?" Adrian's expression shifted, something cold passing through his eyes. "Because I got tired of following orders that got good people killed." Lena didn't know what to say to that. "Michelle," Adrian continued, voice flat, "was the sister of someone I served with. When she reached out for help, I thought I could handle it quietly. By the time I realized how bad it was, her husband had already convinced everyone she was unstable. Locked her in a psychiatric facility. She died 3 weeks later. Officially ruled a suicide." "But you don't think it was?" "I know it wasn't." Adrian's hands clenched into fists. "And I've spent 6 years making sure it doesn't happen again." Lena's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. Just don't give up." "I won't." But even as she said it, she felt the weight of Grant's shadow pressing down on her. He was out there, planning, scheming, and she had no idea what was coming. The next morning, Sarah called with news. "Grant's lawyer filed a counterclaim," she said, voice tight. "He's alleging that you're mentally unstable and demanding a psychiatric evaluation before the divorce proceeds." Lena's blood went cold. "He can't do that." "He can try. And if the judge agrees, you'll have to submit to an evaluation by a court-appointed psychologist." "This is insane." "This is strategy," Sarah said grimly. "He's trying to paint you as irrational, unreliable. If he can get a psych eval on record saying you're unstable, it undermines everything you've said about the abuse." "So what do I do?" "You let them evaluate you, and you pass. Because you're not unstable, Lena. You're traumatized. There's a difference." Lena pressed her palm to her forehead. "When?" "Hearings in 3 days. If the judge orders it, you'll have a week to complete the evaluation." After Sarah hung up, Lena sat on the couch, staring at nothing. Adrian emerged from the bedroom, already dressed. "What'd she say?" "Grant's claiming I'm crazy, wants me evaluated." "Of course he does." "What if they believe him?" Adrian sat down beside her. "They won't. You just have to stay calm. Answer their questions. Don't let him get in your head." "He's already in my head," Lena said, voice breaking. "He's been in my head for 8 years. I don't know how to get him out." Adrian turned to face her fully. "Then we make new memories, ones that aren't about him." "How?" "By living, even just a little." He stood and held out his hand. "Come on." "Where are we going?" "Somewhere that's not this apartment." Lena hesitated. "What if someone sees me?" "Let them. You have a protective order." "He can't touch you." Adrian's hand stayed extended. "Trust me." After a moment, Lena took it. They ended up at a small park along the lakeshore. It was late morning, the kind of crisp autumn day where the sunlight felt thin and fragile. A few joggers passed by. A woman walked her dog. Everything felt impossibly normal. Lena couldn't remember the last time she'd been somewhere like this without Grant's permission. "I used to come here a lot," Adrian said, leading her toward a bench overlooking the water. "When I first got out of the service, needed somewhere quiet to think." "Did it help?" "Sometimes." He sat down and Lena joined him. "Mostly, it just reminded me that the world kept turning whether I was okay or not. That's depressing. Or freeing, depends on how you look at it." Lena watched the waves lap against the shore. "I don't know how to be free. I've been someone's possession for so long, I don't even know who I am without him." "Then figure it out. You've got time now." "Do I? Because it feels like I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop." "Maybe you are," Adrian said, "but that doesn't mean you stop living in the meantime." A jogger passed by, earbuds in, completely oblivious to them. Lena watched him disappear down the path and felt a strange pang of envy. To be that unaware, that unburdened. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Why do you care so much? Really? I know you said it's about Michelle, but it's not just about her." Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "When I was deployed, I saw what happens when people have no way out. When they're trapped by someone stronger, someone who controls everything. Some of them fought, some of them gave up, and some of them just disappeared. Stopped being people." He glanced at her. "I don't want that for you." "I already disappeared," Lena said quietly. 8 years ago. "No, you're still here, you're just buried, but we're digging you out." Lena wanted to believe him, wanted to believe she could be someone again, but Grant's voice was still there, whispering in the back of her mind. "You're nothing without me." That afternoon, Adrian got a call from his contact, the one monitoring Grant's building. Lena watched his expression shift as he listened. His jaw tightened, his eyes went cold. "When?" he asked. A pause. "How many?" Another pause. "Okay. Thanks." He hung up and immediately started typing on his laptop. "What is it?" Lena asked. Grant met with the same guy again, the one from the footage, but this time there were 2 others with him. So I ran facial recognition on all 3. Adrian turned the laptop toward her. On the screen were 3 men, hard faces, dead eyes. The kind of men who made a living doing things other people didn't want to know about. They're hired muscle, enforcers. One of them has a rap sheet that includes assault, kidnapping, and intimidation. Lena's stomach dropped. Why would Grant hire people like that? Adrian's expression was grim. Because he's planning to take you back, whether you want to go or not. The room tilted. "He can't," Lena whispered. "He has a restraining order. He can't." A piece of paper doesn't mean anything to men like this. They don't care about legal consequences. They care about getting paid. Adrian closed the laptop. "We need to move you." "To where?" "Somewhere safer. This place is secure, but if Grant knows you're in the city, it's only a matter of time before he narrows down the options." "Where can I go that he won't find me?" Adrian stood and started pacing. "I've got a cabin upstate, off the grid. No internet, no cell service. Completely isolated." "That sounds like a prison." "It's protection." Adrian stopped and looked at her. "I know it's not ideal, but if Grant's escalating to hired thugs, we need to keep you out of reach until we can get him arrested." "Arrested for what? Meeting with people?" "For conspiracy to kidnap, assault. Whatever Sarah can make stick once we have evidence." Lena's head was spinning. This was insane, all of it. "What if I just go to the police?" "And tell them what? That your estranged husband met with some guys who have criminal records? Without proof of intent, there's nothing they can do. And by the time they get around to investigating, you could already be gone." "Gone where?" Adrian's expression darkened. "Wherever men like that take people who disappear." Lena felt bile rise in her throat. "He wouldn't." "Are you sure?" She wanted to say yes, wanted to believe that Grant, for all his cruelty, wouldn't cross that line. But the truth was, she didn't know. She didn't know what he was capable of anymore. "How long would I have to stay at this cabin?" she asked. "However long it takes to build a case strong enough to put him away." "That could be weeks, months." "I know." Lena looked around the apartment, this small, temporary refuge that had felt like the first safe place she'd had in years. The thought of leaving it, of hiding even deeper, made her want to scream. but the thought of Grant's men finding her made her want to disappear entirely. "When do we leave?" she asked. "Tomorrow, first light." That night, Lena packed the few belongings she had, clothes from Adrian's duffel bag, toiletries, the notebook where she'd been documenting everything. It all fit into a single backpack. 8 years of marriage, and this was all she had to show for it. She was zipping the bag closed when her old phone, still powered off, still sitting on the dresser, started buzzing. Her heart stopped. Slowly, she picked it up. The screen was dark, but she could feel it vibrating in her hand. Someone was calling. She powered it on. 47 new messages, 22 missed calls, all from Grant, and one voicemail, left 10 minutes ago. Her hand shook as she pressed play. Grant's voice filled the room, smooth, calm, devastatingly familiar. "Lena, I know you're listening. I know you think you're safe, that you've won, but you haven't. You can't hide from me forever. And when I find you, and I will find you, we're going to have a very serious conversation about the choices you've made, about the people you've chosen to trust." A pause. "I still love you, Lena. I still want to fix this. But if you keep running, if you keep letting that man poison you against me, there won't be anything left to fix. Do you understand? Come home, before it's too late." The voicemail ended. Lena stood frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. Adrian appeared in the doorway. "What's wrong?" She handed him the phone without a word. He listened to the message, his expression hardening with every word. When it finished, he deleted it and powered the phone off. "He's trying to scare you," Adrian said. It's working." "That's what he wants. He wants you off balance, afraid, second-guessing everything." "What if he's right? What if I'm making it worse by running?" Adrian grabbed her shoulders. "Listen to me. You are not running. You are surviving. There's a difference. And if Grant can't see that, it's because he's never had to fight for anything in his life. But you're fighting right now, and you're winning." "I don't feel like I'm winning." "You walked away. You got a protective order. You're building a case. That's winning, Lena, even if it doesn't feel like it yet." Lena's eyes burned. "What if he finds me before we can stop him? Then I'll make sure he regrets it." There was no doubt in Adrian's voice, no hesitation, and Lena realized with a strange mix of comfort and fear that he meant every word. They left before dawn. Adrian loaded the car while Lena took one last look at the apartment. It wasn't much, just a temporary safe house. Nothing personal, nothing permanent. But it had been hers. In a way, nothing had been hers in years. Now she was leaving it behind. The drive upstate took 3 hours. Adrian kept checking the rear-view mirror, watching for tails. Lena stared out the window, watching the city fade into suburbs, then farmland, then forest. The cabin was exactly what Adrian had described. Isolated, rustic, surrounded by trees. No neighbors for miles, no cell signal, just silence. "It's not much," Adrian said, unlocking the door, "but it's safe." Inside was sparse, a small kitchen, a living area with a fireplace, 2 bedrooms. Everything was clean but worn, like it hadn't been used in a while. "How long have you had this place?" Lena asked. "About 4 years. Bought it after Michelle died. Needed somewhere to go when the city got too loud." Lena set her bag down and looked around. It felt like the end of the world. Like she'd run so far she'd fallen off the map entirely. Maybe that was the point. "I'll get the fireplace going," Adrian said. "It gets cold up here at night." While he worked, Lena explored. The cabin was small enough that it only took a few minutes. One bedroom had a double bed, neatly made. The other had a single. She chose the single without asking. When she came back out, Adrian had a fire crackling in the hearth. "There's food in the pantry," he said. "Canned stuff, mostly, but enough to last a few weeks if we need it." "Are you staying?" Lena asked. "Yeah, I'm not leaving you out here alone." Relief flooded through her. "Thank you." Adrian just nodded. That night, they ate dinner in near silence. Canned soup heated over the fire. Bread that was slightly stale but edible. It wasn't much, but it was the first meal Lena had eaten in weeks that didn't taste like fear. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we wait. Sarah's working on the case. I've got people watching Grant. If he makes a move, we'll know. And if he doesn't, then we keep building until we have enough to bury him." Lena stared into the fire. "I don't know how long I can do this. Hiding, waiting, feeling like my whole life is on pause." "It's not on pause," Adrian said. "It's starting over. It just doesn't feel like it yet." When will it? When you stop waiting for his permission to exist. The words hit harder than Lena expected. She'd been waiting for Grant's permission for 8 years. Permission to speak, to leave the house, to have opinions. Permission to be a person. And even now, even here, she was still waiting for him to let her go. What if he never lets me go? She whispered. Then we make him. Adrian said it so simply, like it was a fact. Like Grant's control wasn't an immovable force. Lena wanted to believe him, but she'd believed in Grant once too. The days blurred together. Morning, fire, coffee, silence. Adrian spent most of his time on his laptop, monitoring the situation in the city through encrypted channels. Lena read, wrote in her notebook, tried not to think about how small her world had become. On the 4th day, Adrian's phone buzzed, a rare occurrence given the lack of signal. He must have rigged some kind of satellite connection. He read the message, his expression darkening. What? Lena asked. Grant filed a missing persons report. What? He's claiming you've been abducted, that you're in danger. He's got the police looking for you. Lena's stomach dropped. Can he do that? He just did. Adrian set the phone down. It's smart, actually. If the cops find you, they'll bring you in for questioning, and once you're in the system, it's a lot easier for him to get to you. So what do? We make sure they don't find you. How? Adrian stood and started pacing. Sarah needs to file a response. Let the court know you're safe, that you left voluntarily, and that Grant's weaponizing the police to violate the protective order. Will that work? It should, but it'll take time, and in the meantime, we stay here, off the grid, invisible. Lena felt the walls of the cabin closing in. That night she couldn't sleep. She lay in the narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind rattle the windows. Grant was out there, spinning his web, turning her into a victim who needed saving, a damsel locked in a tower by a dangerous man. And the worst part was, people would believe him, because Grant was charming, successful, respectable, and she was just his unstable wife. Around 2 a.m., she gave up and went into the main room. Adrian was still awake, sitting by the fire, staring into the flames. Can't sleep? He asked. No. Me neither. Lena sat down across from him. Do you ever regret this? Helping me? No. Not even a little? Adrian looked at her. Why would I? Because it's complicated, dangerous, because I'm a mess, and I keep dragging you deeper into my nightmare. You didn't drag me anywhere. I chose this. Why? Adrian was quiet for a long time, then, because walking away would mean becoming the kind of person I spent 10 years fighting against. And I'm not ready to be that person yet. Lena's throat tightened. I don't know how to repay you. Then don't. Just survive. That's enough. But Lena wasn't sure it was. The next morning, Adrian got another message. This one made him stand up so fast his chair fell over. What? Lena demanded. Grant's men were spotted near Sarah's office. What were they doing? Surveillance, probably, trying to figure out where she's keeping you. Adrian was already moving, grabbing his jacket, checking his gun. I need to go back to the city, make sure Sarah's safe. What about me? You stay here. Doors locked. Don't answer for anyone. I'll be back by tonight. Adrian, Lena. He stopped and looked at her. This is what I do. Let me do it. And then he was gone. The silence that followed was deafening. Lena locked the door behind him and sat by the window, watching the driveway. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, then started to sink. Adrian didn't come back. By nightfall, Lena was pacing. She checked the locks, the windows, the driveway. Nothing. Her mind spiraled. What if something happened to him? What if Grant's men found him? What if she was alone out here, with no phone, no car, no way to call for help? She was about to break the window and run when she heard it. The sound of tires on gravel. Headlights cut through the darkness. Lena's heart stopped. She grabbed the fire poker, the only weapon she could find, and stood behind the door. The car stopped. The engine cut. Footsteps on the porch. A knock. Lena, it's me. Adrian's voice. She nearly collapsed with relief. She unlocked the door and pulled it open. Adrian stood there, looking exhausted but unharmed. You're okay, she breathed. Yeah, Sarah's fine too. I got her moved to a secure location. What about Grant's men? Handled. Lena didn't ask what that meant. Adrian stepped inside and locked the door behind him. We need to talk. About what? He pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. It was grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakable. Grant, standing outside a warehouse, talking to the same men from before. I followed them, Adrian said. They're planning something. Soon. Planning what? To take you back. By force. Lena's legs gave out. She sank onto the couch, her whole body shaking. When? She whispered. I don't know, but it's coming. Adrian sat down beside her. Which is why we can't wait anymore. We need to hit him first. How? Adrian's eyes were cold, hard. We turn his trap against him. Lena stared at Adrian like he'd just suggested they rob a bank. Turn his trap against him? She repeated. What does that even mean? Adrian pulled out his laptop and opened a file. Security camera footage filled the screen, the warehouse, Grant, the three men. Timestamps from 2 hours ago. Grant's hired these guys to grab you. They're professionals, which means they'll have a plan, surveillance, a timeline, an extraction point. Adrian paused the footage. But they're also predictable. They'll wait for you to surface, to go somewhere public, somewhere they can make a move without it looking like a kidnapping. I'm not going anywhere public. I know, which is why we're going to make them think you are. Lena's stomach twisted. You want to use me as bait. I want to use the idea of you as bait, Adrian corrected. You stay here, safe. We make it look like you're coming back to the city for the psych evaluation. There is no psych evaluation. The judge hasn't ruled yet. Grant doesn't know that. And even if he did, he's desperate enough to move anyway. Adrian zoomed in on one of the men's faces. These guys are expensive. He's paying them to sit around and wait. Eventually, they're going to push for action, and when they do, we'll be ready. Ready how? Adrian closed the laptop. We let them make their move, but instead of finding you, they find me, and a dozen cameras recording everything. And then what? You fight them off? Get yourself killed? I'm not planning to fight them. I'm planning to let them incriminate themselves. Attempted kidnapping, conspiracy, assault, all on tape, all admissible in court. Lena shook her head. This is insane. This is strategy. This is suicide. Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Lena, if we don't do something, Grant's going to keep escalating. He'll find you eventually, and when he does, there won't be cameras. There won't be backup. It'll just be you and whoever he sends. Is that what you want? Of course not. Then trust me. I barely know you. I know, but I'm the only option you've got. The truth of it landed like a punch. Lena wanted to argue, to find another way, to believe that the legal system would protect her. But she'd seen how easily Grant manipulated the narrative, how quickly people believed him. She needed more than a protective order. She needed proof. Evidence so damning that even Grant's lawyers couldn't spin it. What do you need from me? She asked quietly. I need you to stay here. Don't leave the cabin for any reason. Don't answer the door unless you hear my voice. And if anything feels wrong, you use this. Adrian handed her a second panic button, identical to the first. 1 click sends an alert to my phone. 2 clicks sends it to the police with your exact coordinates. What if you're the one in trouble? Then you call the police anyway. Let them sort it out. Lena closed her fist around the button. It was small, smooth, deceptively simple. When are you doing this? Tomorrow. Sarah's going to leak false information to one of Grant's contacts. Make it look like you're coming in for a meeting at her office. If Grant takes the bait, his guys will be there. And if he doesn't, then we try something else. But I think he will. He's running out of time and options. So are we. Adrian's expression softened slightly. I know, but we're still ahead of him, and that's what matters. Lena wanted to believe that, wanted to feel like they had control. But sitting in this cabin, miles from anywhere, waiting for a trap to spring, it didn't feel like control. It felt like free fall. The next morning, Adrian left before dawn. He'd packed light, just a small duffel bag with equipment Lena didn't recognize, cameras maybe, recording devices. She didn't ask. Remember, he said at the door. Stay inside. Don't open this door for anyone. I know. And if something happens, I press the button. I know, Adrian. He hesitated, like he wanted to say something else. Then he just nodded and walked out. Lena locked the door behind him and watched through the window as his taillights disappeared down the dirt road. And then she was alone. The silence was immediate and absolute. No traffic, no voices, just wind in the trees and the occasional creak of the cabin settling. Lena made coffee, ate toast that tasted like cardboard, tried to read but couldn't focus. Every minute felt like an hour. By noon, she'd checked the locks 14 times. By 2, she'd memorized every knot in the wood floor. By 4, she was pacing like a caged animal. Her mind kept spiraling. What if Adrian was wrong? What if Grant didn't take the bait? What if he did and something went wrong? What if those men hurt Adrian? What if they killed him? What if she was alone out here with no car, no phone, no way out? She was working herself into a full panic attack when she heard it. A car engine, distant, getting closer. Lena's heart stopped. She ran to the window and peered through the curtain. A black SUV was coming up the driveway, slow, deliberate. Not Adrian's car. Her blood turned to ice. She grabbed the panic button from her pocket. Her thumb hovered over it. The SUV stopped in front of the cabin. The engine cut. 2 men got out. One was tall, broad-shouldered. The other shorter but stockier. Both wore dark clothes. Both moved with the kind of precision that came from training. Lena's hand shook. She pressed the button once. The shorter man walked toward the cabin. The tall one stayed by the car, scanning the trees. A knock on the door. Hard, authoritative. "Mrs. Holloway? We're with the county sheriff's office. We need to speak with you." Lena's mind raced. Sheriff's office? No way. These men didn't look like cops. She didn't answer. Another knock. Harder. "Mrs. Holloway, we know you're in there. Your husband filed a missing persons report. We just need to confirm you're safe." Her husband, Grant. This was him. It had to be. "I'm fine," Lena called through the door. "I don't need any help." "Ma'am, we still need to see you. Make sure you're not under duress." "I'm not opening the door." A pause. Then the shorter man's voice changed, dropped the pretense of politeness. "Mrs. Holloway, you can open this door voluntarily, or we can open it for you. Your choice." Lena backed away from the door. Her pulse hammered in her ears. This was it. This was what Adrian had warned her about. She pressed the button again. 2 clicks. "Police. Help." "We're coming in," the man said. The door handle rattled. Locked. Thank God. Then came a loud bang. A boot against the wood. The frame splintered. Lena ran. She bolted for the bedroom, slammed the door, shoved a chair under the handle. Her hands fumbled with the window latch, stuck, painted shut. Another crash from the front room. The door giving way. Footsteps inside the cabin. "Mrs. Holloway, don't make this difficult." Lena grabbed a lamp from the nightstand and smashed the window. Glass shattered. Cold air rushed in. She climbed through, cutting her hands on the jagged edges. Dropped onto the ground outside. Pain shot through her ankle, but she didn't stop. She ran. The forest was dense, dark even in daylight. Branches tore at her clothes. Roots tried to trip her. Behind her, she heard shouting. "She's running! East side!" "Get her!" Lena's lungs burned. Her ankle screamed, but she kept moving. She had no plan, no idea where she was going, just away. Anywhere away. A gunshot cracked through the air. Lena hit the ground, hands over her head. Her whole body shook. "That was a warning," one of the men shouted. "Stop running or the next one won't be." She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her vision blurred with tears. This was it. This was how it ended. And then she heard it. Sirens. Distant, but getting closer. The men heard it too. She could hear them arguing. "We need to go. We can still grab her. No time. Move." Footsteps retreating. The SUV engine roaring to life. Lena stayed on the ground, pressed against the earth, until the sirens were right outside the cabin. Car doors slamming. Voices calling out. "Police! Anyone inside?" She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't hold her. She managed to crawl back toward the cabin, still shaking, still crying. A sheriff's deputy found her 30 feet from the broken window. "Ma'am? Ma'am, are you hurt?" Lena couldn't speak, could only shake her head. The deputy radioed for medical. Another officer checked the cabin, the broken door, the shattered window. "Looks like forced entry," someone said. "Tire tracks heading east. Recent." They wrapped Lena in a blanket and sat her in the back of a cruiser. Not under arrest, just safe, protected. She was still there, shaking, when another car pulled up. Adrian. He was out before the car fully stopped, running toward her. Lena. Jesus Christ. He dropped to his knees beside the cruiser door. Are you okay? Are you hurt? They came, she whispered. They came here. How did they know? Adrian's face went dark. He stood and turned to the nearest deputy. I need to see the scene. Sir, this is an active investigation. I'm the one who called you. Check your dispatch log. Anonymous tip about a possible abduction in progress at this address. That was me. The deputy's expression shifted. You the boyfriend? I'm her security consultant, and someone leaked this location. I need to know how. While Adrian talked to the police, another deputy took Lena's statement. She told them everything, the men claiming to be sheriff's deputies, the forced entry, running into the woods, the gunshot. Did you get a look at their vehicle? The deputy asked. Black SUV. I don't know the make. License plate? I didn't see it. The deputy made notes. And you said these men were hired by your husband. Estranged husband, Grant Holloway. He filed a false missing persons report. There's a protective order. He's not supposed to contact me. We'll need to verify all that. My lawyer has the paperwork, Sarah Chen. I can give you her number. By the time the police finished processing the scene, it was nearly dark. They found shell casings in the woods where the men had fired. Boot prints, tire tracks. But the SUV was long gone. Adrian drove Lena back to the city. She sat in the passenger seat, wrapped in the blanket, staring at nothing. I'm sorry, Adrian said quietly. I should have known they'd find the cabin. How did they? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. Lena turned to look at him. They had guns, Adrian. They shot at me. I know. This isn't a game anymore. It never was. Then what do we do now? Adrian's jaw tightened. Now we make sure Grant goes down for this. Attempted kidnapping, conspiracy. We've got police reports now, evidence. This isn't just divorce court anymore. This is criminal. He'll just say he didn't know, that he hired investigators and they went rogue. Then we prove he knew. We trace the money, the communications, everything. Lena leaned her head against the window. She felt hollowed out, empty, like she'd used up all her fear and had nothing left. I want this to be over, she whispered. I know. I want my life back. You'll get it, I promise. But Lena didn't know if she believed him anymore. They didn't go back to the apartment. Adrian said it was compromised. If Grant's men found the cabin, they could find that too. Instead, he took her to a hotel, not a nice one, a roadside place off the highway with hourly rates and no questions asked. He paid cash, used a fake name. The room was exactly what Lena expected. Stained carpet, thin walls, a bed that sagged in the middle, but it was safe. For now. Adrian set up motion sensors by the door and windows, checked the locks twice, drew the curtains. I'll take the chair, he said, nodding toward the corner. You should sleep. I will. Light. I've done it before. Lena sat on the edge of the bed, still wrapped in the blanket from the police cruiser. She couldn't stop shaking. Adrian noticed. He grabbed the spare blanket from the closet and wrapped it around her shoulders. You're in shock, he said gently. That's normal. It'll pass. What if it doesn't? It will. How do you know? Because I've been there. Adrian sat down beside her, close but not touching. After my first firefight, I shook for 3 days, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Thought I was losing my mind. What did you do? I let it happen. Stopped trying to fight it. Eventually, my body ran out of adrenaline and I crashed, slept for 16 hours straight. He glanced at her. Give yourself permission to fall apart. You've earned it. Lena's throat tightened. I can't fall apart. If I do, I won't be able to put myself back together. Yes, you will. You've been doing it for 8 years, piece by piece. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm drowning. Then let me keep you afloat, just for tonight. Something in his voice broke through the numbness. Lena turned to look at him, really look at him, at the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the way he was holding himself together through sheer will. He was just as tired as she was, just as afraid, but he was still here. Why? She asked. Why do you keep doing this? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Because someone needs to. And I can. That's not a reason. It's the only reason I've got. Lena didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded and pulled the blanket tighter. They sat there in silence until exhaustion finally dragged her under. When Lena woke, pale light was filtering through the curtains. Adrian was exactly where he'd been, sitting in the chair, laptop open, working. "What time is it?" she asked, her voice rough. 7. You slept about 10 hours. You didn't sleep at all, did you? Couple hours. I'm fine. Lena sat up. Her whole body ached. Her hands were bandaged. She didn't remember anyone bandaging them. Must have been the paramedics. Sarah's been calling, Adrian said, not looking up from the screen. The police contacted her. She's filing an emergency motion to have Grant arrested. Will it work? Depends on what evidence they found at the cabin. But between the forced entry, the gunshot, and the fleeing suspects, there's a case. Grant will say he had nothing to do with it. He can say whatever he wants. His bank records will tell the truth. Adrian finally looked at her. One of the men they're looking for, Marcus Voss. He's got a record, and he's expensive, the kind of expensive that leaves a paper trail. Grant's too smart to pay someone like that directly. Maybe, but people make mistakes when they're desperate, and Grant's desperate. Lena's phone, the burner Adrian had given her, buzzed on the nightstand. She picked it up. A text from Sarah. Judge granted emergency hearing. Today at 2 p.m. Can you make it? Lena showed the screen to Adrian. That's fast, he said. Is that good or bad? Good. It means the judge takes this seriously. Adrian stood and started packing up his equipment. We need to get you ready. Sarah's going to walk you through what to expect. What if I freeze? What if I can't talk? Then you write it down and hand it to the judge. Whatever it takes. Adrian paused. Lena, you've come this far. Don't stop now. She wanted to argue, to say she couldn't do this, that it was too much. But she was so tired of running, so tired of hiding. Maybe it was time to fight. The courthouse was crawling with people, lawyers, clerks, people with briefcases and tired eyes. Sarah met them outside the courtroom. She looked sharp, focused, ready for war. How are you holding up? She asked Lena. I've been better. Well, you look like hell, which actually helps. The judge needs to see what Grant's put you through. Thanks, I think. Sarah almost smiled. Grant's lawyer is already inside. They're going to argue that the attack on the cabin had nothing to do with Grant, that it was a random break-in, maybe even staged. Staged? I was shot at. I know. And we're going to make sure the judge knows too. Sarah glanced at Adrian. You're testifying? If you need me to. I might. Your expertise could help establish pattern of behavior. They walked inside. The courtroom was smaller than Lena expected, more intimate. Grant was already seated with his lawyer, the same sharp-eyed woman from before. Grant looked up when Lena walked in. For a split second, something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or concern. Then it was gone, replaced by that familiar mask of calm control. Lena forced herself to meet his eyes, to not look away. She'd spent 8 years avoiding his gaze, afraid of what she'd see there. Not anymore. The judge entered. Everyone stood. This is an emergency hearing regarding the protective order in the matter of Carter versus Holloway, the judge said, settling into his seat. I've reviewed the police reports from yesterday's incident. Ms. Chen, you filed the motion. Make your case. Sarah stood. Your Honor, yesterday afternoon, 2 armed men forced entry into a private residence where my client was staying. They claimed to be sheriff's deputies, but were not. They pursued Mrs. Holloway into the woods and fired a weapon. This was a coordinated attempt to abduct her and return her to her husband, Grant Holloway, in direct violation of the existing protective order. Grant's lawyer shot to her feet. Objection, Your Honor. There is no evidence linking my client to these men. This was a random home invasion, possibly even staged by Mrs. Holloway to garner sympathy. Staged, Lena blurted out. They shot at me. The judge held up a hand. Mrs. Holloway, you'll have a chance to speak. Ms. Chen, do you have evidence connecting Mr. Holloway to the attack? We're working with law enforcement to trace financial records, Your Honor. But the pattern is clear. Mr. Holloway has been meeting with known criminals. He's hired private investigators to track my client. And now, conveniently, Armed men show up at her safe house? This isn't coincidence. This is conspiracy. Your Honor, Grant's lawyer interjected, my client has every right to hire investigators to locate his missing wife. He filed a missing persons report out of genuine concern. A missing persons report that was filed in bad faith, Sarah countered. Mrs. Holloway left voluntarily. She has a protective order. She's not missing. Mr. Holloway weaponized law enforcement to harass and intimidate her. The judge looked at Grant. Mr. Holloway, did you hire anyone to locate your wife? Grant stood, smooth, composed. Yes, Your Honor. I hired a private investigation firm to find Lena because I was worried about her safety. She left without explanation. She won't return my calls. I had no idea where she was or if she was okay. Any husband would do the same. Did you instruct these investigators to use force? Absolutely not. I wanted them to locate her and confirm she was safe. That's all. Then can you explain why armed men showed up at her location? I can't, Your Honor. But I can tell you that I had nothing to do with it. If someone took it upon themselves to act outside my instructions, that's on them, not me. It was perfect. The exact defense Adrian had predicted. And it was working. Lena could see it in the judge's face, doubt creeping in. Mrs. Holloway, the judge said, I'd like to hear from you. Lena stood. Her legs felt like water. Tell the court what happened yesterday, the judge said. Lena took a breath. I was staying at a cabin, alone. 2 men showed up. They claimed to be deputies, but they weren't. They tried to force their way in. I ran. One of them shot at me. If the police hadn't shown up, they would have taken me. And you believe your husband sent them? I know he did. How? Because he's been trying to control me for 8 years. And when I finally left, he couldn't accept it. He's done everything he can to find me, to force me back. This is just the next step. That's speculation, Grant's lawyer said. It's the truth, Lena shot back. He hired men to watch me, to follow me, to scare me. And when that didn't work, he sent them to take me by force. The judge studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at the police report on his desk. I'm going to order a full investigation, he said finally. In the meantime, the protective order stands. Mr. Holloway, you are to have no contact, direct or indirect, with your wife. No investigators, no third parties, nothing. If I find out you violated this order in any way, you'll be held in contempt and possibly face criminal charges. Do you understand? Grant's jaw tightened. Yes, Your Honor. Good. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel came down. Lena nearly collapsed. Sarah caught her arm. You did it, Sarah whispered. You held your ground. But as they walked out of the courtroom, Lena saw Grant watching her. His expression was unreadable, and she knew deep in her bones that this wasn't over. Not even close. Grant didn't look back as he left the courtroom. He walked with the same measured confidence he'd always had, the kind that came from a lifetime of getting exactly what he wanted. Lena watched him disappear through the double doors and felt something cold settle in her chest. He's not going to stop, she said quietly. Sarah was gathering papers, shoving them into her briefcase. He doesn't have a choice. The judge just put him on notice. One wrong move and he's facing criminal charges. You don't know him like I do. Adrian, who'd been standing silently behind them, spoke up. She's right. Men like Grant don't stop because a judge tells them to. They just get smarter about it. Sarah paused, looking between them. Then we stay vigilant, document everything, and we keep building the case. For how long? Lena asked. How long do I keep hiding, keep running, keep waiting for the other shoe to drop? Until we have enough to bury him, Sarah said, which, if the police investigation pans out, could be soon. They're tracing the money, following the paper trail. If we can connect Grant to those men directly, it's over. And if we can't? Sarah's expression tightened. Then we keep fighting. It wasn't the answer Lena wanted, but it was the only one she had. They left the courthouse through a side exit. Adrian insisted on it. Less exposure, fewer cameras. Lena was starting to understand how he thought. Every decision calculated, every movement deliberate. It was exhausting. In the car, Adrian's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, frowned, and answered. Yeah? A pause. When? His expression darkened. You sure? Okay. Thanks. He hung up and immediately pulled over to the side of the road. What? Lena asked, her stomach already sinking. That was my contact at the police department. They found Marcus Voss. The guy from the cabin? Yeah. That's good, right? They can make him talk, connect him to Grant. Adrian turned to look at her. He's dead, Lena. The words hung in the air like smoke. What? They found him in a motel room outside the city, single gunshot to the head, staged to look like suicide. Lena felt the blood drain from her face. Grant killed him. Grant had him killed, Adrian corrected. There's a difference, and it's a smart move, actually. Voss was the connection, the one loose end that could tie everything back to Grant. Now he's gone. What about the other two men? Vanished. My contact says they left the state, probably got paid off and told to disappear. So there's no evidence. Not the kind that'll hold up in court. Lena's hands clenched into fists. He's going to get away with it. All of it. Not if we're smarter than he is. How? He just killed someone to cover his tracks. What are we supposed to do with that? Adrian pulled back onto the road, his jaw tight. We find another way. There's always another way. But for the first time, Lena heard doubt in his voice. They went back to the hotel. Different room this time. Adrian changed locations every night now, said it made them harder to track. Lena felt like she was living in a spy movie, except spy movies had endings, and hers just kept going. That night she couldn't sleep. She lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the highway outside, trucks rumbling past, distant sirens, the hum of the vending machine down the hall. Every sound made her flinch. Around 2 a.m., she gave up and got out of bed. Adrian was awake as usual, sitting in the chair with his laptop. Can't sleep? He asked without looking up. No. Want to talk about it? Not really. Adrian closed the laptop. Talk anyway. It helps. Lena wrapped her arms around herself. A man is dead because of me. A man is dead because Grant ordered it. That's not on you. Isn't it? If I hadn't left, then you'd still be trapped, still suffering, and eventually Grant would have escalated anyway. Men like him always do. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. Adrian stood and walked to the window, looking out at the parking lot. I've seen it before, over and over. The pattern's always the same: control, isolation, escalation. And when they finally lose control, they destroy everything rather than let go. Lena's throat tightened. Michelle's husband didn't just have her committed. He made sure she never got out, made sure no one believed her when she tried to tell them what he'd done. And when she finally found a way to fight back, he killed her. Adrian's reflection in the glass was hard, unreadable. I promised myself I'd never let that happen again. And I meant it. Even if it cost you everything? Especially then. Lena didn't know what to say, so she just stood there, watching him watch the empty parking lot, and felt the weight of everything pressing down on both of them. The next morning, Sarah called with news. The police finished processing Grant's financials, she said. There's a payment, $50,000, transferred to an offshore account 2 weeks ago. Lena's pulse quickened. Can they trace it to Voss? They're trying, but offshore accounts are tricky. It'll take time. How much time? Weeks, maybe months, Lena wanted to scream. We don't have months. I know, which is why I'm filing for an expedited divorce hearing. If we can't get him on criminal charges, we can at least end the marriage and freeze his assets. He'll fight it. Of course he will. But we've got the protective order. We've got the police reports. And we've got your testimony. It's not a slam dunk, but it's a shot. After Sarah hung up, Lena turned to Adrian. This isn't going to work. We don't know that yet. Yes, we do. Grant's always 3 steps ahead. He's got lawyers, money, connections. What do we have? We have the truth. The truth doesn't matter if no one believes it. Adrian set down his coffee. You want to give up? I want this to be over. Those aren't the same thing. Lena's eyes burned. I'm tired, Adrian. I'm so tired. I can't keep doing this. Can't keep running and hiding and waiting for him to strike. I just want my life back. Then take it. How? Adrian leaned forward. You confront him, directly, face to face. That's insane. Maybe. But it's also the only way this ends. Grant's power comes from your fear, from the idea that he's untouchable. But he's not. He's just a man. And men make mistakes when they're angry. You want me to make him angry? I want you to force his hand. Make him show who he really is. On record. With witnesses. Lena's heart was racing. What if he hurts me? He won't, because I'll be there. And so will Sarah. And so will a dozen cameras. This is a trap. Yeah, for him. Lena stood and paced to the window. Her mind was spinning. The idea was terrifying, reckless, probably stupid, but also maybe the only way out. How would it work, she asked. Adrian pulled out his phone and started typing. We set up a meeting, neutral location, public enough that he can't do anything obvious, but private enough that he'll feel comfortable talking. We wire you, record everything, and we wait for him to incriminate himself. What if he doesn't? Then we try something else, but I think he will. Grant's ego won't let him walk away from a chance to control the narrative, especially not with you. Lena turned back to him. You really think this will work? I think it's the best shot we've got. She wanted to say no, wanted to refuse, wanted to keep hiding and hope that somehow, someday, this would all just go away. But she knew it wouldn't. Grant would keep coming, keep hunting, keep tightening the noose, unless she stopped him first. Okay, she said quietly. Let's do it. Sarah hated the idea. Are you out of your mind? She said when Adrian called to explain the plan. You want to put Lena in a room with her abuser and hope he confesses? That's not a legal strategy. That's a Hail Mary. We're out of options, Adrian said. The police investigation stalled. The offshore account's a dead end. We need something concrete, something undeniable. And if it goes wrong? If he threatens her, hurts her? He won't. I'll be there. You're not law enforcement, Adrian. You can't just... I can, and I will. Adrian's voice was firm. Either you're with us or you're not. But we're doing this. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then, finally, if we do this, we do it right. Proper recording equipment, backup in place. And the second things go sideways, we pull her out. Agreed? Agreed. And Lena's on board with this? Adrian glanced at Lena, who nodded. Yeah, he said, she is. They set the meeting for 3 days later, long enough to prepare, short enough that Grant wouldn't have time to plan a countermove. Adrian sent the message through a secure email account using language designed to appeal to Grant's ego. I want to talk. Just you and me. No lawyers. No games. There are things that need to be said. Meet me at the Riverside Cafe. Thursday, 2 p.m. Come alone. Grant's response came an hour later. I'll be there. Those 3 words felt like a death sentence. The days leading up to the meeting were a blur. Sarah coached Lena on what to say, what not to say, how to stay calm. Adrian set up the equipment, a tiny microphone clipped inside Lena's collar, a camera disguised as a button. Just get him talking, Sarah said during their final prep session. Ask about the cabin, the investigators, the money. If he admits to anything, anything at all, we've got him. And if he doesn't, then we walk away and regroup. But Lena knew there wouldn't be a regrouping. This was it, the last play. The night before the meeting, Lena barely slept. She kept running through scenarios in her head. What she'd say, how Grant would respond, what could go wrong. Everything. Everything could go wrong. Around 3 a.m., she got up and found Adrian doing push-ups in the corner of the room. Can't sleep either? She asked. He finished his set and stood, barely winded. I'm fine. You're worried. I'm always worried. Comes with the job. Lena sat on the edge of the bed. What if I freeze? What if I can't do this? Adrian grabbed a towel and wiped his face. Then you remember why you're doing it. You're not doing this for revenge. You're doing this so you can be free. Really free. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. You're doing this so Grant Holloway never has power over you again. What if it's not enough? It will be, because you're stronger than he is. You always have been. He just convinced you otherwise. Lena's eyes stung. I don't feel strong. You walked out of your own life with nothing. You survived an abduction attempt. You stood in front of a judge and told the truth. You're still here, still fighting. That's strength, Lena, even if you can't see it yet. She wanted to believe him, wanted to feel the confidence he seemed to have in her, but all she felt was fear. Thursday arrived like an execution date. Adrian drove Lena to the cafe early. They sat in the car across the street, watching the entrance. "He's not here yet," Adrian said, checking his watch. "We've got 15 minutes. What if he brings someone? Then we abort. This only works if he's alone." Lena's hands were shaking. She pressed them against her thighs, trying to steady them. Adrian noticed. He reached over and squeezed her shoulder. "You've got this." "I really don't." "Yes, you do. And I'll be right there. You won't see me, but I'll be watching. If anything goes wrong, I'll pull you out. You're not alone in this." Lena nodded, not trusting her voice. At 1:55, Grant's black Mercedes pulled up to the curb. Lena's heart stopped. He got out alone. No lawyer, no bodyguard. Just Grant, dressed in one of his impeccable suits, looking every inch the successful executive. He walked into the cafe without looking around. "Okay," Adrian said. "You're on. Remember, stay calm. Get him talking, and don't be afraid to push back. He's used to you being submissive. Throw him off balance." Lena took a breath and got out of the car. The cafe was half full, afternoon coffee crowd, students with laptops, freelancers taking meetings, normal people living normal lives. Lena envied them. Grant was sitting at a corner table, coffee already in front of him. He stood when he saw her, ever the gentleman. "Lena," he said. His voice was warm, concerned. "You look tired." "I am tired." "I'm glad you reached out. I've been worried about you." Lena sat down across from him. The microphone felt like it weighed 100 pounds. "Have you?" she asked. "Of course. You're my wife." "Estranged wife." Grant's smile didn't waver. "A technicality. We can fix this, Lena. All of it. You just need to come home." "I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because that's not my home. It never was. It was yours. I was just a decoration." Grant's expression flickered, just for a second. Then the mask was back. "That's not true. I gave you everything. A beautiful home, financial security, a life most people dream of. You gave me a cage. I gave you freedom. You just didn't appreciate it." Lena's hands clenched under the table. "Is that what you tell yourself? That I was ungrateful? Weren't you?" Grant leaned forward. "I worked 80-hour weeks to give you that life, and you repaid me by running away, by making me look like a fool in front of everyone. You made yourself look like a fool at that party, humiliating me in front of your friends. I was joking. You're too sensitive." "I'm not sensitive. I'm done." Grant's eyes hardened. "Done with what?" "With you. With this marriage. With pretending everything's fine when it's not. And you think walking away solves that?" "I think it's the only option I have left." Grant sat back, studying her. "You've changed." "I had to." "That man you're with, Vale, he's the one who changed you, poisoned you against me." "Adrian didn't poison me. He just showed me that I had options." "Options." Grant's laugh was cold. "You had options before. You chose to stay." "I stayed because I was afraid, because you convinced me I had nowhere else to go." "That's not true." "Yes, it is. You controlled everything, my money, my schedule, my friends. You isolated me so completely that I forgot who I was without you." Grant's jaw tightened. "I protected you." "From what?" "From yourself, from making stupid decisions, from—" He stopped, seemed to realize he'd said too much. Lena leaned forward. "Say it. From what?" "Nothing. Forget it." "No, you were going to say something. What was it?" Grant's eyes were cold now, all pretense gone. "From throwing your life away, like you're doing right now. My life isn't yours to manage anymore." "Isn't it?" Grant's voice dropped. "You think that protective order means anything? You think hiding in cheap hotels and running to your lawyer changes the fundamental truth? You're mine, Lena. You always have been, and you always will be." There it was, the mask completely off. Lena's pulse hammered. "I'm not yours. I'm not anyone's. You're delusional, and you're being manipulated. Vale's using you, getting you to do exactly what he wants, and you're too blind to see it. Adrian's helping me. There's a difference." "Is he? Or is he just another man controlling you? Just smarter about it?" The words hit harder than Lena expected. For a split second, doubt crept in. Then she remembered the cabin, the gunshot, the terror. "You sent men to kidnap me," she said quietly. Grant's expression didn't change. "I did no such thing." "Yes, you did. You hired Marcus Voss, paid him $50,000. And when he failed, you had him killed." "I don't know what you're talking about." "The police have the records, Grant. The offshore account, the wire transfer. It's over." Grant leaned back, completely calm. "You're fishing. If the police had real evidence, I'd already be in custody, which means they don't, which means this little performance is pointless." Lena felt her stomach drop. He was right. They had nothing solid, just suspicions and circumstantial evidence. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, voice breaking. "Why can't you just let me go?" "Because I love you." The words were so calm, so matter-of-fact, and so completely hollow. "You don't love me," Lena said. "You love controlling me." "There's a difference." "You're wrong. Am I?" "Because love doesn't feel like suffocation. Love doesn't feel like fear. Love doesn't send armed men to drag someone back." Grant's expression darkened. "You don't know what love is. You're a child playing at being an adult, and you need someone to guide you, to make the hard decisions. That's all I've ever done." "No, what you've done is abuse me. For 8 years. And now you're paying for it." Grant stood abruptly. "We're done here. Sit down. We're not finished." "Yes, we are." He threw cash on the table. "Enjoy your freedom, Lena, while it lasts." And then he walked out. Lena sat there, shaking, as the cafe noise swirled around her. A moment later, Adrian slid into the seat across from her. "You okay?" "Did you get it?" "Every word." "Is it enough?" Adrian's expression was grim. "It's something," but he was careful. Didn't actually confess to anything concrete. Lena's chest tightened. "So this was all for nothing?" "No, not nothing. We got him on record threatening you, claiming ownership. That helps with the divorce. And the 'you're mine' line? That's textbook abusive behavior. Sarah can use it. But it won't put him in jail. No, not by itself." Adrian stood. "Come on, let's get out of here." They were halfway to the car when Lena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You made a mistake today, but I'm willing to forgive you. Come home. Last chance." She showed it to Adrian. His expression went dark. "He's escalating. What do we do? We finish this, once and for all." But as they drove away, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that Grant was still 3 steps ahead, and that whatever came next was going to be worse than anything that had come before. The text from Grant sat on Lena's phone like a live grenade. She stared at it until the screen went dark, then stared at her own reflection in the glass. Last chance. Adrian pulled into a gas station parking lot and killed the engine. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "He's not going to stop," Lena said finally. "Is he?" "No." "So what do we do?" Adrian turned to face her. "We go on offense. Stop reacting to him and start forcing him to react to us." "How?" "We find the one thing he cares about more than controlling you." Adrian pulled out his phone and started typing. His reputation, his business, his standing in the community. Men like Grant can handle being hated in private. But public humiliation? That destroys them. We already tried that. The meeting didn't give us anything we can use. The meeting gave us enough to file a motion, but that's not what I'm talking about. Adrian looked at her. "I'm talking about going nuclear. Every piece of evidence we have, every abusive text, every witness statement, every financial record showing how he controlled you. We take it all and we make it public." Lena's stomach twisted. "You mean like a press conference?" "I mean like handing everything to a reporter who specializes in exposing powerful men. Let them do the work. Once it's out there, Grant can't spin it, can't hide behind lawyers. He'll be exposed for exactly what he is. That'll make him furious. Good. Furious people make mistakes. Or they do something worse." Lena's voice cracked. "What if he comes after me? Really comes after me this time? Then we'll be ready." Adrian's expression was hard. "I'm not letting him touch you, Lena. Not now. Not ever." She wanted to believe him, but Grant had always been untouchable, always 3 steps ahead. "What if it backfires?" she asked. "What if people don't believe me? What if they think I'm just a bitter ex-wife trying to ruin him?" Some will, but some won't. And the ones who don't will start asking questions, looking closer. And once people start looking at Grant Holloway's life, they'll find cracks. They always do. Lena closed her eyes. The thought of going public with everything, of standing in front of cameras and telling the world what Grant had done, made her want to disappear entirely. But maybe that was the point. She'd been disappearing for 8 years. Maybe it was time to be seen. "Okay," she whispered. "Do it." Sarah made the connection. She knew a journalist at the Chicago Tribune who'd built her career on investigative pieces about abuse and corruption. Her name was Rachel Kimura, and according to Sarah, she didn't pull punches. They met at Rachel's office 2 days later. It was small, cluttered with files and coffee cups, the kind of organized chaos that came from someone who worked too hard and cared too much. Rachel was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, dressed in jeans and a blazer that had seen better days. She shook Lena's hand with a grip that felt like a promise. "Sarah filled me in on the basics," Rachel said, gesturing for them to sit. "Controlling husband, 8-year marriage, protective order, attempted abduction, and now you want to go public." "I want people to know the truth," Lena said. "Why now?" "Because he's not going to stop. And I can't keep running." Rachel studied her. "You understand what this means? Once this story's out there, you can't take it back. Your life becomes public property. People will pick apart every detail. Some will support you. Some will call you a liar. It gets ugly." "My life's already ugly." "Fair enough." Rachel pulled out a recorder and set it on the desk between them. "Then let's start from the beginning. How did you meet Grant Holloway?" For the next 3 hours, Lena told her story. All of it. The whirlwind courtship, the slow erosion of her independence, the financial control, the isolation, the humiliation at parties, the night she walked out, the cabin, the gunshot, the meeting at the cafe. Rachel took notes, asked questions, never interrupted with judgment or sympathy. Just listened. When Lena finished, her throat was raw and her hands were shaking. Rachel turned off the recorder. "I'm going to need documentation, bank statements showing the financial control, texts and emails showing the manipulation, witness statements from anyone who saw the abuse." "I have most of that," Sarah said, pulling a folder from her bag. "And I can get affidavits from the police who responded to the cabin incident." "Good. I'll also need to reach out to Grant for comment. Standard journalism ethics." Lena's pulse spiked. "He'll know I talked to you. He'll figure it out anyway once the story runs. Better to give him a chance to respond. Makes it harder for him to claim bias later." "What if he threatens you?" Rachel smiled grimly. "Wouldn't be the first time. I've dealt with worse than Grant Holloway." Somehow, Lena believed her. The article was scheduled to run in 5 days. Rachel said she needed time to verify everything, cross-check sources, build an airtight case. "Grant's got money and lawyers," she explained. "If there's even a hint that this story's inaccurate, he'll bury me in lawsuits. So I need to make sure every word is bulletproof." Those 5 days felt like an eternity. Lena stayed in yet another hotel, watching the clock, waiting for the explosion. Adrian kept watch, always watching, always ready. On the 3rd day, Grant's lawyer called Sarah. "He wants to settle," Sarah said when she relayed the conversation to Lena. "Full divorce, division of assets. He'll agree to everything if you sign a non-disclosure agreement." "An NDA? Yeah, you walk away with half of everything. But you can never talk about the marriage, never give interviews, never tell your story." Lena felt something hot and sharp twist in her chest. "He knows about the article." "Probably. Someone must have tipped him off that you talked to a reporter. So this is him trying to buy my silence." "Essentially, yes." Lena looked at Adrian, who was sitting across from her, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "What do you think?" she asked him. "I think it depends on what you want. If you take the deal, you get financial security and closure, but Grant gets to keep his reputation, keep his power, and the next woman he marries will have no idea what she's walking into. And if I don't take it, then the article runs. Grant's life gets harder, but so does yours. You'll be under a microscope. People will judge you, question you. It won't be easy." Lena turned back to Sarah. "How much time do I have to decide?" "He wants an answer by tomorrow." "Tell him no." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm done being silent. I'm done protecting him." Sarah nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll let him know. After she hung up, Adrian leaned forward. You know he's going to retaliate, right? I know. And you're okay with that? Lena took a breath. No, I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of spending the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, wondering when he's going to come back. At least this way, it ends. It might not end the way you want. Maybe not. But at least it'll end on my terms. Adrian studied her for a long moment. Then something shifted in his expression. Something that looked almost like pride. Okay, he said. Then we see this through. The next day, Grant showed up at Sarah's office. He didn't make an appointment, didn't call ahead, just walked in like he owned the place and demanded to see Lena. Sarah called immediately. He's here, at my office, asking for you. What do I do? Nothing. Stay where you are. I'll handle him. But Lena was tired of hiding, tired of letting other people fight her battles. No, she said. I'm coming. Lena, I need to face him one last time. Adrian drove her to Sarah's office. He tried to talk her out of it the entire way. This is exactly what he wants, Adrian said. A confrontation, a chance to manipulate you. Then he's going to be disappointed. Lena, I'm doing this, Adrian, with or without your approval. He went quiet after that, but when they pulled up to Sarah's building, he got out with her. I'm coming inside, he said. I know. Grant was in Sarah's waiting room, sitting with the kind of casual arrogance that made Lena's skin crawl. He stood when she walked in. Lena, finally. What are you doing here, Grant? I came to talk, one last time, before you make a decision you'll regret. I already made my decision. Grant's expression darkened. You're really going to let that reporter destroy me, destroy us? There is no us. There hasn't been for a long time. That's not true. Grant took a step closer. Adrian moved between them immediately. Grant glanced at him with disdain. Still hiding behind your guard dog? Still proving why I need one, Lena shot back. Grant's jaw tightened. I came here to offer you a deal. A good deal. You walk away with everything you could possibly need. Financial security for life. All I'm asking is that you stay quiet. And let you do this to someone else? There is no someone else. There's only you. There's only ever been you. Stop. Just stop. Lena's voice cracked. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not letting you twist everything into some romantic tragedy where you're the victim. You abused me. For 8 years, you controlled every aspect of my life. And when I finally found the courage to leave, you tried to have me kidnapped. You don't get to rewrite that story. Grant's expression went cold. You think you're brave? You think standing here, playing the victim, makes you strong? I think surviving you makes me strong. You didn't survive me. You ran, like a coward. Yeah, I did, because staying would have killed me. The words hung in the air. Grant stared at her like she'd slapped him. Then slowly, his expression shifted. The mask cracked, and underneath was something ugly and raw. You're making a mistake, he said quietly. You think you're free? You're not. You'll never be free of me. Because every time you look in the mirror, every time you try to trust someone, every time you think about building a new life, I'll be there, in the back of your mind, reminding you that you're nothing without me. Lena's chest tightened, because part of her knew he was right. Part of her would always carry the scars of what he'd done. But scars weren't the same as chains. You're wrong, she said. You're not in my head anymore. You're just a man I used to know. And pretty soon you'll be a man everyone knows, for exactly what you are. Grant's face twisted. For a second, Lena thought he might lunge at her. Then he turned and walked out. The door slammed behind him. Lena's legs gave out. She sank into a chair, shaking. Sarah knelt beside her. You okay? Yeah, I think so. Adrian was still standing by the door, watching the street. He's getting in his car. Good. Let him go. But as Grant's Mercedes pulled away, Lena saw his face through the window, cold, calculating, already planning his next move. This wasn't over, not yet. The article ran 3 days later. The headline was simple, devastating. The man behind the empire, how Grant Holloway built a fortune while destroying his wife. Rachel had done her job. Every detail was there. Every text, every witness statement, every financial record showing how Grant had isolated and controlled Lena for nearly a decade. The response was immediate. Social media exploded. People who knew Grant started coming forward with their own stories. Employees who'd been fired for speaking up, business partners who'd been manipulated, women who'd dated him before Lena and recognized the pattern. Grant's company put out a statement denying everything, called it a hit piece, threatened legal action, but the damage was done. By the end of the week, Grant was under investigation, not just for the attempted kidnapping, but for financial fraud, tax evasion, everything the article had unearthed. His empire started to crumble. Investors pulled out. Partners distanced themselves. The board of directors called an emergency meeting, and Grant, for the first time in his life, had nowhere to hide. The arrest came on a Tuesday morning. Lena was at Sarah's office, going over the final divorce papers, when Sarah's phone buzzed with a news alert. Grant Holloway arrested on charges of conspiracy to commit kidnapping, financial fraud, and obstruction of justice. Sarah turned the phone so Lena could see. On the screen was a photo of Grant in handcuffs being led out of his building by federal agents. His expression was blank, defeated. Lena stared at the image for a long time. She'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, thought it would feel like victory, like vindication. Instead, she just felt tired. "It's over," Sarah said quietly. "Is it?" "Yeah. With these charges, he'll be lucky to avoid prison. And even if he does, his reputation's destroyed. He's done." Lena nodded slowly. "What happens now?" "Now we finalize the divorce, get you a settlement, and you start rebuilding your life." Rebuilding. The word felt impossibly heavy. How did you rebuild when everything had been torn down? When you'd spent so long being someone's possession that you didn't know how to be your own person? "I don't know how to do that," Lena admitted. "Neither did I," Sarah said, "but you figure it out, one day at a time." The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. Grant didn't contest it, didn't show up to court. His lawyers handled everything remotely while he sat in a jail cell, waiting for his trial. The settlement was more than Lena expected, enough to start over, to build something new. She signed the papers in silence, feeling nothing. It should have felt like freedom, like the end of a nightmare. Instead, it just felt like the end. Adrian was waiting outside the courthouse when she came out. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Empty? That's normal." "Is it?" "Yeah, you've been fighting for so long, your body doesn't know what to do without the adrenaline." Lena looked up at the sky. It was a clear day, cold but bright, the kind of day that felt like possibility. "What do I do now?" she asked. Adrian shrugged. "Whatever you want. That's the whole point." But after 8 years of being told what to want, Lena didn't know where to start. She spent the next few months in a kind of fog. She got an apartment, small, affordable, hers, bought furniture, tried to build a routine, but everything felt strange, unmoored, like she was playing at being a person instead of actually being one. Adrian checked in regularly, made sure she was okay, never pushed, never asked for anything, just was there. "You don't have to keep doing this," Lena said one evening when he stopped by with takeout. "Doing what?" "Taking care of me." "I'm fine. You've done enough." Adrian set down the food and looked at her. "Is that what you think I'm doing? Taking care of you?" "Isn't it?" "No, I'm just being your friend. You're allowed to have those now, you know." The word landed hard. Friend. She hadn't had one of those in so long, she'd forgotten what it felt like. "I don't know how to be a friend," she admitted. "I don't know how to be anything except what Grant made me." "Then figure it out. You've got time now." "Do I? Because I still feel like I'm waiting for something terrible to happen, like this is all temporary, and any second, it's going to collapse." Adrian leaned forward. "It's not temporary, and it's not going to collapse. Grant's in prison. The divorce is final. You're free, Lena, for real this time." She wanted to believe him, but freedom felt like a word in a foreign language. She could say it, but she didn't understand what it meant. The breakthrough came 6 months later. Lena was at a coffee shop reading when a woman approached her table. "Excuse me, are you Lena Carter?" Lena's stomach dropped. She'd gotten recognized a few times since the article ran. Usually people were kind. Sometimes they weren't. "Yeah," she said carefully. "I just wanted to thank you," the woman said, "for speaking up. My ex-husband, he was a lot like yours. Controlled everything. Made me think I was crazy. I stayed for 12 years because I thought I had no way out, but your story made me realize I could leave, so I did. 2 months ago, I filed for divorce. Lena's throat tightened. How are you doing? Terrified, but also hopeful. For the first time in a decade, the woman's eyes were bright. So thank you. You probably saved my life. She walked away before Lena could respond. Lena sat there staring at her coffee, feeling something shift inside her chest. She'd spent so long thinking her story was just pain, just shame, just something to survive and move past. But maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was proof. Proof that leaving was possible, that surviving was possible, that the other side existed, even when you couldn't see it. That night, she called Adrian. I think I'm ready, she said. Ready for what? To actually live. There was a pause, then Adrian's voice, warm and steady. Good. It's about time. Lena started small. She volunteered at a women's shelter, helping other survivors navigate the legal system. She took a class, photography, something she'd loved before Grant convinced her she wasn't good at it. Slowly, piece by piece, she built a life that was hers. It wasn't perfect. She still had bad days, still flinched at sudden noises, still checked locks obsessively. But she also had good days. Days where she laughed. Days where she felt light. Days where she forgot to be afraid. And those days started to outnumber the bad ones. A year after the divorce, Adrian invited her to dinner. Not at a restaurant. At his place. There's someone I want you to meet, he said. Lena's heart did something complicated. She'd spent months wondering if there was something between them, something more than friendship. But Adrian had never pushed, never even hinted. Maybe she'd imagined it. When she arrived, Adrian opened the door with a smile. Come in, she's in the kitchen. She. Right, of course. Lena followed him inside, trying to ignore the twist of disappointment in her chest. A girl was sitting at the kitchen table, coloring. She looked about 7, with dark hair pulled into a ponytail and Adrian's eyes. Lena, this is Mia, Adrian said. My daughter. Lena blinked. Your daughter? Yeah, her mom and I split when she was 2. We share custody. She's with me every other week. Mia looked up and waved. Hi. Hi, Lena managed. Adrian had a daughter, a whole part of his life he'd never mentioned. Why didn't you tell me? She asked later, after dinner, while Mia was watching a movie in the other room. Because you had enough to deal with, and because I didn't want you to think I had some ulterior motive for helping you. Did you? Adrian looked at her. Really looked at her. No, I helped you because it was the right thing to do. But somewhere along the way you became important to me, and I didn't want to complicate things by telling you that. Lena's heart stuttered. Important how? Important like I think about you when you're not around. Important like I want to know how your day was. Important like I'm terrified of screwing this up because I don't want to lose you. Lena stared at him. Adrian, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know. No pressure, no expectations, just the truth. She didn't know what to say. Didn't know if she was ready for this, for someone new, for trusting again. But Adrian had been patient with her for over a year, had never asked for anything, had just been there, steady and solid, while she fell apart and put herself back together. I'm not good at this, she said finally, at trusting, at letting people in. I know, and I don't know if I'm ready for whatever this is. That's okay, we've got time. Do we? Yeah, as much as you need. Lena looked at him, this man who'd pulled her out of darkness and never asked for anything in return. This man who'd shown her what it looked like when someone actually cared without trying to control. And she realized something. She wasn't ready. Not completely. Not yet. But maybe she didn't have to be. Maybe trust wasn't something you built overnight. Maybe it was something you built slowly, day by day, with someone who was willing to wait. Okay, she said quietly. Let's see where this goes. Adrian smiled. Yeah? Yeah. 6 months later, Lena moved into a new apartment, bigger this time, with room for a life, for people, for possibility. Adrian helped her move. So did Mia, who insisted on organizing Lena's books by color. It looks better this way, Mia said seriously. Lena laughed. You're absolutely right. That night, after everything was unpacked, the three of them sat on the floor eating pizza straight from the box. Mia fell asleep on the couch halfway through a movie. Adrian carried her to the guest room and came back to find Lena standing by the window, looking out at the city. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, She turned to face him. "I never thought I'd get here, to a place where I actually felt safe, where I could breathe without waiting for something terrible to happen. You earned this. We earned this. I couldn't have done it without you." Adrian crossed the room and took her hands. "You could have, eventually. I just helped speed things up. Still, thank you for everything." "You don't have to thank me." "I know, but I want to." They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then Adrian leaned down and kissed her, soft, careful, like he was still afraid of scaring her away. Lena kissed him back, and for the first time in as long as she could remember, she didn't feel afraid. She felt whole. 2 years later, Lena stood on a dock overlooking a lake, wearing a simple white dress that she'd chosen herself. Sarah was there. Rachel. A few friends Lena had made at the shelter. Mia, wearing a flower crown and grinning like she'd won the lottery. And Adrian waiting at the end of the dock, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. It wasn't a big wedding, wasn't fancy or expensive, just real, just theirs. The officiant, a friend of Adrian's, kept it short. "Do you take this woman to be your wife?" "I do." "And do you take this man to be your husband?" Lena looked at Adrian, at this man who'd seen her at her worst and stayed anyway, who'd never tried to change her or control her, who'd just loved her, patiently and steadily until she learned to love herself. "I do." They kissed while Mia cheered and everyone else clapped. And Lena realized something. She'd spent 8 years as someone's possession, someone's project, someone's prisoner. But now? Now she was just Lena, whole, free, unafraid. She'd survived. She'd rebuilt. She'd won. Not because she'd destroyed Grant, though his prison sentence didn't hurt, but because she'd reclaimed herself, piece by piece, day by day. And that was the real victory. Not revenge, not vindication, just freedom. The kind you earn by refusing to disappear, by standing up, by speaking out, by choosing yourself, even when the whole world tells you not to. That night, after the reception, Lena and Adrian sat on the dock while Mia skipped stones into the water. "You happy?" Adrian asked. Lena thought about it. Really thought about it. A year ago, she would have said she didn't know what happiness felt like anymore. That Grant had taken it from her, and she'd never get it back. But sitting here, watching Mia laugh, feeling Adrian's hand in hers, breathing air that tasted like freedom, she knew the answer. "Yeah," she said. "I really am." And she meant it. Because happiness wasn't something someone gave you. It wasn't something you found at the end of some perfect journey. It was something you built. Slowly. Imperfectly. With your own hands. And Lena had built hers from nothing. From rain-soaked streets and late-night cafes, from broken windows and gunshots in the woods, from courtrooms and cheap hotels and conversations that felt like life rafts. She'd built it from survival, from choosing to leave, from choosing to fight, from choosing herself. And now, finally, it was hers. No one could take it away. Not anymore.